Hey, welcome back, Runelo. I'm BedBreadBones, and this is going to be a part 2 to the first video on your opinions. I've had very many takes shed by you people, which I'm really grateful for, thank you. In case you don't know what this is about, I'm gonna be reading out and visualizing some of your comments or opinions to see how your ideas would work in game. Then I'll give my take on the idea. I gotta say this every time, since some people take it to heart. Please remember that this video is just for fun. If you disagree with my or the picked opinions, you disagree, that's fine. You're free to leave what you thought in the comments along with your own takes if you'd like to be featured in the next video. But please, just make sure not to look like this. Alright, thanks. Let's start. Number 1. Every survivor has traits. It's crazy how many of you suggested this on the last video, but honestly I'm not sure if it's a good idea. So, the idea is that every single survivor has their own little built-in benefits that has something to do with their lore. So for example, since Claudette is a botanist, you would get a 5% faster healing speed if you played her. Or if you're playing Ace Visconti, since he's a gambler, you'd get a 3% higher chance to unbox the dragon lore. Wow. But here's my problem with the idea. Let's say you get a permanent 5% bonus repair speed for playing a good old boy Dwight. And then let's take Jake. What are you gonna give him? A 5% higher chance to find meaning in life? Like, what could you possibly give him that would make people actually consider playing him over the massive boost that Dwight has? On top of that, these effects would have to be given to all the survivors. But not all of them have a clear lore reason as to why they possess their little benefits, like the original characters do. And some characters just by lore have useless benefits. What would you give to someone like Jeff? He's an artist. What could he do? Paint you a picture? Like, I feel like giving characters traits would decrease the variation of characters being played, and there would become a meta of the same few survivors, which would be boring. And I know, a lot of people are gonna say, but if you tweaked them enough, everyone could have a balanced boost. No, this is Dead by Daylight we are talking about. As much as we can dream, I don't think this game can possibly have balanced traits. One more point someone made was to apply this to bullet point gains instead of gameplay advantages, but it would just go back to that meta. Neat idea, but I don't think it would work. Number 2. Hook time is slowed when camped. I thought about this one a lot myself. I got introduced to this idea at first because of a game I used to play years ago in my Roblox days, called Flee the Facility. If you play Roblox, you may have heard of it. The game is a DBD spin-off where the killer has to freeze survivors instead of hooking them to make them deaded. But if the killer gets too close to one of the freezing survivors, the timer would fully pause until the killer left like an 8-meter range. And it's super flawed. The killer would just end up camping from an 8-meter distance. There's nothing stopping them from just walking up to the player being frozen when someone tries to free them. Let me go over some reasons why the idea also wouldn't work in DBD. First, this would really put off new players and confuse them as to why the survivor is taking so long to die. It could take quite a while for them to realize that the timer is slowed when they stay around, but sure, it could discourage a lot of new players from camping. Secondly, what would you make for radius without it being too harsh on the killer? I'll use the killers that are the best at camping for this. Iridescent Head Huntress, Trickster, Billy and Bubba. Let's say you make the distance from where it starts to slow down 8 meters. That doesn't change anything for Huntress and Trickster, as they're ranged killers, so they can camp outside of the zone. Bubba and Billy can still get to the hooked person in time if someone were to attempt to save, so that wouldn't change anything. Make it 16 and it'll be the same story. I'm not overall sure if the idea is necessarily bad, but I think it would need a ton of tweaking for it to actually work. Number 3. A way to sell items. This is a really cool idea. Depending on your playstyle, you could sell the items you don't want to reinvest in your survivor for different items that do fit your playstyle. There could be an option to right-click to sell the item. I don't see this being added though, since I'm pretty sure the devs aren't very keen on players being able to prestige-free new characters, and hoarders could sell enough items to do that. The items would definitely need to be sold for much less than what you paid for, so you can't just indefinitely level up with a buy-sell combo. But a great idea overall. Number 4. Iridescent Shard build-up time. Ah yes, I'm not surprised this was mentioned. If you don't know what shards are, they're the special currency you earn after stealing the killer's wallet enough times, that you can spend on clothing or purchasing characters. As much as I love grindy games, I have to agree. The amount of time it takes to get enough shards for a single character is insane. If you're planning on unlocking all the shard purchasable characters, it's going to take you over 1,000 hours of playtime. Or you could cop up your organs and get them early. A simple change I found to make this system better is to add shards to the rift as rewards for every few levels. Let's say you got like 500 shards for every 5 or 10 levels, and a bonus reward if you make it to the end of a rift. This idea isn't mine. I saw someone suggest this on Reddit a while ago, but the first post I could find about this has been deleted, along with the account, so credit to whoever came up with it. Another idea I have for this is to give shards as rewards in the archives for completing challenges. And yeah, these changes should make the time to unlock new characters bearable. Apex could learn a thing or two. And before someone says that this is the only way of making money, remember that this is a paid game with a ton of cosmetics and killers that can only be purchased with real money. So I'm sure they'd be fine if the grind for the characters was a bit shorter. Number 5. More emotes. I've been waiting for this for so long. Before anyone soils their diaper, they mean emotes as in more actions to communicate with your teammates, not the Fortnite default dances. This isn't VHS. Emotes would be a slight and fun buff for solo queue and could allow for more communication. Currently we have 2 emotes in the game, on the 1 and 2 keys. Go and follow me, which is pretty universal, but you can't communicate everything through them. Let's say a survivor is being camped and you're the only one using Kindred, so you want to tell your team that. Right now there's no way to warn your team other than shaking your head, which barely anyone pays attention to, since you need to stop to make your head shake easily visible since your head turning speed is decreased when moving. And there's a high chance that your teammate is constantly moving so you don't get an opportunity to. We could have like a stop emote to tell someone not to do something. For another scenario, let's say you're in an area that's been trapped and a teammate comes over to you. You could use something like a "it's a trap" emote. You could combine this emote with a stop emote to warn someone, so that they're aware that the area has been trapped. Also to add to this, I'd love if they made the emotes usable while moving. It'd be just a nice little time saver. I'm not sure how effective the emotes would be, who knows, maybe they'd become useless. But I think it's a fun idea that would be handy at times. Number 6. Killer Kick Stun. This is gonna be a long one. So basically what they suggested is a mechanic where if the killer stays within a few meters of you for let's say 10 seconds, you get the ability to kick the killer to stun them at the cost of progressing your sacrifice meter slightly. This is a really cool immersive way to counter camping. There's a ton of obvious issues though, but before I explain them, let me explain why the idea can be ruined entirely if it doesn't work on a select few killers. If the camping killer does not have a lethal power, then currently with the right coordination from your team, you can pretty much safely unhook no matter what, unless the kill is running save for best for last. Meaning, implementing an anti-camping mechanic would be unnecessary. Except we don't live in a world where every single killer is non-lethal, and here comes the problem. The problem isn't camping, it's camping with lethal killers, since there's nothing you can do about it. If the mechanic we introduce does not prevent camping on lethal killers, with them being the reason we need the mechanic in the first place, then what's the point of introducing it? That will only make the already possible unhooking scenarios stupid easy to unhook in, but not changing anything about the impossible unhooking scenarios, which is the reason we're thinking of mechanics like this in the first place. So that's why it's important that the mechanic works on every single killer. Now back to the mechanic. Like I mentioned earlier, the killer can avoid this by camping outside of the range, since most of the killers good for camping aren't affected by it as I explained earlier. This would work against the grab game though, on any of the non-lethal killers, which would be great. I'm not quite sure what you could do to stop killers camping from a distance if this mechanic were to be implemented. I thought of making it, instead of a kick, a throwable item that stuns or blinds the killer if they stay within a radius of you, but that seems too punishing. And there's going to be those times where you have no other choice than to camp, such as in the endgame. What are you gonna do if you can't camp the only objective you have? Go sit in the naughty corner and think about what you've done? I mean, you could possibly disable this throwable once the gates are powered, but I'm not sure. This idea sounds pretty ambitious, but it's pretty neat. Number 7. Transfer items between survivors. A quick one. I'm in favor of this change. I don't understand why the limitation. What's the point of having all of your items on characters you'll never play? If you want to have a main survivor, let's say Michaela for example, and you want to use perks on her from other survivors, you will need to prestige the characters you want the perks from 3 times to have them purple on everyone. So you'll have a ton of characters that you might never use, which just kinda sucks because the amount of points you spend just to get them to P3 is huge. And it could have gone into your main to get yourself those items, but no, now we're stuck there, in the endless void, never gonna be used ever again. So yeah, good idea. I like it. Number 8. Fire round. For the last one I've picked a few quick comments that I'm gonna speed through, so I can include as many as possible. So, to start off with, Hag Trap should not be able to be disarmed with flashlights. Not like anyone plays Hag, but I easily agree. There's been loads of ideas on how to rework the disarming to not be item dependent. The one I like the most is to let you crouch walk on top of a trap and play some animation to disarm it. Maybe like rubbing the ground to smear the hex pattern away. But I'm not sure, that seems like it'd make her a trapper wannabe. Either remove the flashlight's ability to burn them, or make it not item dependent. Bookmark perks. Okay, up next is bookmark. Fucking bookmark. Pretty self-explanatory. A feature to bookmark. I swear to God, a feature to bookmark perks would be neat. Since the meta changes once a decade, you're gonna be using the same stuff over and over, and it would make it a bit more convenient. And lastly, changeable aura colors. A way to change the aura colors in the settings would be so nice. Every time we have an event that turns the generators into their Halloween yellowy auras, Discordance blends in so much with the Halloween aura that it's pretty much unusable for me during the event. So this would help out a lot. And yeah, that's all for now. If you'd like to be featured in the next ideas video, remember to leave your ideas in the comments. These videos take forever to put together, so I'd really appreciate it if you rated this video or subscribed. It motivates me to continue. Also, if you're a real homie and you've seen my previous videos, I'd appreciate it if you told me what you thought of this style. Did you like it? I tried something new and I'd love to know what you thought. And yeah, as always, thanks for watching. See ya till next time.